Hi guys, it's Phoebe. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of April and the books that I am hoping to get to in the month of May. So let's get into it. I would at the top of the video like to apologize for any background noise. It is raining really hard outside and I have laundry going. Sorry if there's any thudding, water splashing in the background. It is what it is. So the month of April was actually a pretty good reading month for me, not so much in quantity, but in quality. I actually had, did I rate all three of those books 5 stars? Well, let's talk about the 3 YA books that I rated 5 stars. First was Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pao Prieto. This is a book about a kingdom where there's recently been kind of a civil war, and used to Phoenix riders were kind of the upper echelon of society. They, I don't want to say the rulers were Phoenix riders. And they're a special kind of magician and animage, I'm pretty sure is what they call them, where they have the ability to communicate with animals, and that's what allows them to be such good riders of phoenixes? Anyway. But there's been a civil war. The people who were Phoenix riders are now like banned, and it's illegal to be an animage. Our main character is one of 2 sisters who are animages, and they have some phoenix eggs that they're working to hatch, obviously in secret. Another main character is there are some secret Phoenix riders like who live up in the mountains. One of the other main characters is like the son of their leader. And then there's another guy who's secretly an animage, but he works in like the army of the kingdom, and he's hiding his magic to save himself, basically. And this book is about Veronica, who's the female sister, who's the female main character. Anyway, this book is mostly about Veronica and her journey to become one of the Phoenix Riders. She has to pretend to be a boy because they're also discriminating against adding women to the Phoenix Riders. I really enjoyed this book. The only big complaint that I had about it was that there is a plot twist at the end, and I know that this is geared towards younger readers, so it kind of makes sense if the plot twist is a little bit more obvious, but I was getting frustrated as a more adult reader that Veronica was not figuring out this like big secret that was not much of a secret to me. But again, it's geared towards younger readers, so I can't really hold it against it. I really enjoyed this book. I liked the world building. I never felt like it was overdone. I really hate exposition about magic systems and politics and stuff like that, and this never felt that way to me. I also really liked the conflict that our main character had as she is struggling with her relationship with her sister, who is pretty evil, but she still has kind of an internal struggle where she's like, but that's my sister and I love her, and just kind of figuring out how to deal with those relationships, like your toxic familial relationships where you've been kind of brought up to nurture that relationship beyond all others, but her coming to realize that that is not the healthiest choice for her. The next 5-star YA book that I read was All the Murmuring Bones by A.G. Slatter. This I honestly went into and thought that I wasn't going to like it because the summary like sounded really good. This was a new release that I bought. Like I was saying, the summary sounded really good, so I was interested enough to buy it, but it was also something where I was like, this sounds really interesting, but I would have bet money that it was not handled well, or like the characters were really immature, or there was some like romance that I hated, and this book thankfully did not give me that. This book, the summary is our main character, Mirren, I guess, O'Malley, is from an old family line that used to be very rich and prosperous because they sacrificed one of their children to the sea. And there's like this ancient bargain where if they sacrifice one of their children every generation, the sea will return the favor and make them prosperous or whatever. And they've stopped following this tradition, and so the family has kind of become poor. They're not as big and as important as they used to be. And this synopsis kind of ends that Mirren's grandmother, who has raised her, wants to restart this tradition and rebuild the O'Malley family. With that being said, and the book again makes it sound like there's a lot of family secrets and things that are going to come to light. I was like, well, you've given away the big freaking family secret in the synopsis. They sacrificed one of their children to the ocean. What bigger family secret could you have? Turns out quite a few. And again, this book was a really good time. I really liked it, super like dark fairy tale vibes. It never felt immature to me, which was one of the things that I was most worried about. That it was going to be like trying too hard to be dark and edgy, but it was going to feel like an angsty 13-year-old wrote it. Not that way at all. There were some mature themes. I wouldn't say that it was mature enough that it like still wasn't geared toward like a YA, like a late teen age reader, but a little bit more mature than the typical YA book. And overall, I really liked it. The third YA fantasy book that I gave 5 stars to. Before I show you the book, I will say I don't know if it's genuinely 5 stars for good story, because I felt super biased through the whole thing, which is very unusual for me. It is Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. It's her first novel, and I loved this book. Okay, so the synopsis for the book is that there's 2 main characters. One of them has been cursed so that she cannot feel love. And the other one has like magical abilities, kind of, but like she needs a witch in order to like harness her magical power. They're holding hands on the cover, and so I went into this and I was like, I'm pretty sure they're lesbians. I was concerned going into it that I was going to be misguided. Stranger things have happened. Nope, turns out super gay. And that's why I felt really biased the whole time, because I just thought it was super cute. And I was just so happy for both of them. I don't want to say much more because I feel like I'm going to start giving too much of the story away. But basically, that's Tamsin, and she's been cursed to never feel love. And so she's kind of an a-hole. That's Rin. She's the one, she has magic, but she needs a witch to like help her use her magic. And she's like super cute and like takes care of her dad because her mom died a few years ago. And she's just like a sweet little bubbly person. And it's exactly what you would expect given that synopsis. Whatever you think you're gonna get, it's pretty much what you're gonna get. But I really loved this book. They were so cute. And yeah, I just had a good time because Tamsin and Rin are so cute. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about it now. Then I had a couple of disappointing YA reads for the month. One of them was The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold, another book that I bought as a new release. Actually, I have 4 new releases out of 6 books. No, 5. 5 out of 6 of these books are new releases. Anyway, so this one I had been really excited for because the synopsis is kind of sold to me as there's this girl and her dog, and the world is like this post-apocalyptic landscape, and she travels through a wormhole. And I guess that's what happens, except the dog is not really a main character, which I know is kind of a stupid thing for me to like pick on. But if you're gonna mention the dog in the synopsis and have the dog on the cover, can you have the dog be more like important? I don't know, that's just me. Also, she doesn't go through the wormhole until the very end of the book, which was also disappointing because to me there weren't a lot of like sci-fi elements. It was mostly like The Road, like that, which is also a book, but I haven't read the book. I'm thinking of the movie with Viggo Mortensen. It's kind of like that, but it's just a group of kids wandering across a post-apocalyptic landscape. And nothing really good happens to them. And I think the author, Arnold, in trying to make this like some edgy like sci-fi business, was trying to be too vague about things, and ended up just making it confusing and not really enjoyable for me to read. Like, the story didn't flow very well. I felt like he was holding, it's one of those scenarios, you know what I mean, where an author like holds back too much information, and it's like it's not that you're giving me like a plot twist at the end when things are revealed. It's like you just were trying too hard to like make your book weird. So I didn't really love The Electric Kingdom. Yeah. Then I read Game Changer by Neal Shusterman, another new release. Another book that I was really excited before because I like Neal Shusterman. And this also was not really what I expected it was going to be. So our main character, Ash, plays football in high school. He gets a concussion one day during a game and realizes that his concussion has caused him to like slip into a reality that is slightly altered from our own. And every week that he plays another football game, he gets another concussion and like ends up slipping into different realities that are farther and farther removed from the world as we know it. As he's going along this journey, he meets some like interdimensional beings who explain to him that he's the center of the universe, or the locus, it doesn't matter. And he has some control over the way the realities are changing around him. And that would be just fine on its own. There is an added layer. Neal Shusterman used this opportunity to try to bring light to social justice issues that we face in our society, which I think would have been fine, and this would have been a really interesting way to do it. But to me, it was, for starters, way too much in your face that this was a book that was going to educate you about different issues that society has, and how it affects different people. There's just like no nuance to it. And I might not have had so much of an issue with the very like over the top, because again, like, it's nothing that I don't agree with, obviously. But then on top of all these human rights issues, it was handled a little problematically, because it was like Ash didn't care about these issues until he was in an alternate reality where it impacted him. Like, right at the top of the book, when he's still in like our reality, there's a scene where one of his friends, I want to say it's one of his black friends, but it might be one of his Hispanic friends. One of his friends who's a person of color is complaining about being like racially profiled by someone. And the story is from Ash's like first person perspective, and he's like, I just don't see it. He complains about this all the time. It's just who he is as a person. I don't really get it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it was like Ash didn't believe that his friends had these struggles until he was in another reality where, I don't think there was a reality where he ever was a person of color, but like there was a reality where, I don't care. If skip ahead until I put the book down if you don't want spoilers. But like Ash goes to a reality where he's gay and like has a boyfriend and has to deal with like coming out issues and being bullied for it and stuff like that. And it's like he never thought about it or cared until it was him. Similarly, there's a reality where he becomes a girl, and a lot of the book has focused on one of his close friends is a girl who's dating a guy that is really not good for her. And he like doesn't understand why she's doing it until he's in this alternate reality where he's a girl and he's the one that's in that kind of relationship. And it just kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way to be like, he's a straight cis white man and he can't understand other people's struggles until he's like literally put in their shoes and has to face like these injustices that are people's everyday lives. I would have liked it better if Ash had like two brain cells to rub together and figure out that just because his life is so perfect and he's never experienced racial profiling or, you know, having someone judge him for his sexuality, that is reality for some people. instead of him brushing it off until it literally affects him personally. Anyway, so I did not love Game Changer for those reasons. That is all. The last book that I read in April, another new release, I want to say it came out in February or the beginning of March, 400 Souls, which is a short story collection. There are 80 different short stories in here, each one by a different author. They are edited by Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote How to Be an Anti-Racist, which is a book that I read a few months ago, and Keisha N. Blaine, who wrote Set the World on Fire, which I have not read. I'm not going to list the 80 authors of the short stories because that would be insane. This book, I will say, was good. It definitely wasn't bad. There were a couple of the essays, because the way it's set up, it goes from 1619 to 2019. Every essay is like a 5-year span. It starts in 1619 because there's a record of Africans being brought to America. I think it's not for the first time, but it might be the first time we have a record of them like on the main continent for the first time. And then 2019 because then it's 400 years of African people being in America. So every essay is a 5-year span. The authors just got assigned that like 5-year chunk, and I think we're just told to like write something for it. Also, every like 50 years or so, there's a break and somebody writes a poem. Again, overall, very good. There were some essays where I felt like the authors misunderstood the assignment. Like, sometimes they were talking a lot about stuff that happened outside their 5-year span. Like, I want to say that there was one that focused on an event that was not in this 5-year span they were given. And then there's like one essay that was just about how cotton affected like her life in whatever, like modern day growing up as African American. And no shade to those people because they were still really good essays, but it just, to me, didn't super make sense in the context of the book as a whole. Again, overall, not bad. I would recommend against doing what I did, which was to just sit down and read all of it like it was a novel. I think it would have been a lot better for me if I kind of like read one essay at a time and then like read something else in between. But I did learn a lot reading this book. I think it was super educational. And I would recommend it if it sounds something that's up your alley. But again, reading essays like one at a time and not sitting down and reading it. Because it also is nonfiction. And she's chunky. A lot of the end of it are like notes and sources, but she's a big book. And you will wear yourself out. But that was that, 400 Souls. Okay, moving into the books that I want to get to in May. I am right now I'm filming on, what is it, the 4th? Yeah. I am over halfway through Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I expect you will be seeing this book in a few weeks. I think I'm going to do another film to screen video. I will say I don't love doing those videos as much, so I probably need to back away from those. I miss doing the classy with the classics a lot, but I need to buy some more classic books to read to do one of those videos. Anyway, then I meant to get to Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. At least last month, maybe even a couple months ago. I feel like I've been wanting to get to this book for a long time. It's been on my TBR forever. We're getting to that this month. The other books that I'm getting to this month are literally just, I have been working through, I think I've talked about this. I bought like way too many books over the past couple of years. And was just not able to read to keep up with them. So I've been not buying books. I did break that in Target. I bought Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and then I got 2 other Kristen Hanna books because I'm out of control. I got Between Sisters and Fly Away. So I will be reading those just to get them out of the way. Once I finish all my other books that are in my TBR, I will be moving on to the big bag of books my parents got me for Christmas. I will also be reading the autobiography of Malcolm X and When the Earth Had Two Moons by Eric Asfog. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and for sticking around for another painful video. I will see you in my next video soon. Thank you. Bye.